Michael Walker was a 27-year-old customer support agent living in a small apartment in Brooklyn. Every morning he took the crowded subway to Manhattan, clutching his coffee and hoping the day would go smoothly. He wasn't afraid of hard work, but he was afraid of something else. Speaking whenever someone asked him a question in a meeting, his heart raced. His voice shook. His mind went blank, and every time, he walked home thinking, why can't I talk like a confident person? Why does everyone else sound so calm, so sure? One cold Monday morning, something happened that changed everything. Michael's team was preparing for an important project. His manager, Sarah, looked around the conference table and said, "Okay, everyone. We need someone to present our findings to the clients next week." Silence. No one wanted the responsibility. Sarah's eyes slowly scanned the room and stopped on Michael. "Michael, you understand this project better than anyone. How about you present?" His stomach dropped. His palms got sweaty, but something inside him whispered, "You can't keep running from this." He swallowed hard. I can try," he said quietly. Sarah smiled. "Good. I believe in you." But Michael didn't believe in himself. For the rest of the day, he felt fear rising like a wave. That evening, after finishing his late shift, Michael walked through the cold New York streets. Neon lights reflected on the wet pavement. He passed a small bookstore he'd seen 100 times but never entered. This time, he stopped. A sign in the window read, "Speak like a leader, communication skills for everyone." Inside, an older man with silver hair and a warm smile stood behind a display of books. "Rough day at work?" the man asked as Michael walked in. Michael laughed nervously. "You have no idea." The man nodded knowingly. "Let me guess, communication problems." Michael was shocked. "How did you know?" "Because I've seen that look before," the man said. "People who are smart, capable, but invisible because they can't express themselves." Michael took a deep breath. "I have to give a presentation next week. I'm terrified." The man reached for a small notebook and handed it to him. "This is yours," he said. "Inside are 10 simple tips that can change your life if you practice them. 1 tip each day, and you'll see results." Michael opened the notebook. The first page read ***. Tip number 1, speak slowly and clearly. Leaders never rush. Slow speech equals strong speech. ***. Michael felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, hope. He tucked the notebook into his jacket pocket, thanked the man, and stepped back into the cool night air. As he walked home, he whispered the words to himself, "Speak slowly, speak clearly." For the first time, he felt the possibility of change. The journey had begun. Michael woke up the next morning before sunrise. The city was still quiet, and for a moment he felt calm. Then he remembered the presentation he had agreed to give, and his heart tightened again. But then he saw the small notebook on his nightstand. Tip number 1, speak slowly and clearly. He touched the page lightly, as if the words might disappear. "Okay, 1 tip a day," he whispered. "I can do that." The first practice before leaving for work, Michael stood in front of his bathroom mirror. His reflection looked tired, nervous, unsure. He cleared his throat. "Good morning, team. My name is Michael Walker." The words came out fast and shaky. He tried again, forcing himself to slow down. "Good morning, team." Too slow. He sounded like a broken robot. He exhaled sharply. "This is ridiculous." But he didn't stop. He practiced again and again, smooth, steady, controlled. Finally, he heard a version that sounded different. Stronger. Clearer. "Good morning, team. My name is Michael Walker." He nodded. Better. The subway challenge. On the subway ride to Manhattan, the usual chaos surrounded him, doors beeping, people shouting, trains screeching. Michael usually kept his earbuds in and stayed silent, but today, he tried something new. He found a spot near a pole and quietly practiced slow speaking in his mind. What if speaking slowly makes me sound boring? What if people think I'm weird? The negative thoughts kept coming, and Michael battled them one by one. At the next station, a woman bumped into him accidentally. "Oh, I'm sorry," she said. Michael felt the old instinct respond quickly, quietly, nervously. Instead, he tried the new skill. "It's okay," he said slowly, clearly, with a steady tone. The woman smiled warmly. "Thanks," and walked away. It was a tiny moment, but it felt like a victory. The coffee shop test before work, Michael always stopped at the same small cafe. The barista, a friendly guy named Jason, greeted him with the usual "Hey man. Usual latte." Normally, Michael responded fast, "Yeah, thanks." Today, he paused, a real, deliberate pause. "Yes," he said, slowly and confidently. "A latte, please." Jason looked surprised. "Wow, you sound different today." "Calm." Michael blinked. "Really?" "Yeah," Jason laughed. "I wish more customers talked like that." Michael felt something warm in his chest. Maybe this slow speaking thing actually works. The first meeting of the day at 11 a.m., the team gathered for a small planning meeting. Michael usually hoped no one would notice him, but today, Sarah, his manager, turned to him and "Michael, could you summarize yesterday's customer reports?" His heart skipped, but he remembered a slow, clear, steady. He inhaled a "Yes, of course," he said, pacing his words carefully. "Yesterday, our team received 126 customer queries. The main issues were no shaking voice, no racing speech, just calm, controlled communication." When he finished, Sarah smiled. "Great summary, Michael. Very clear." Clear. A single word that made Michael's entire day brighter. A new confidence. As Michael walked out of the meeting room, he held the notebook in his hand. Tip#1, complete. For the first time in years, he didn't feel like the quiet guy in the corner. He felt like someone who could change, someone who could grow, and as he stepped into the hallway, he whispered to himself. The next morning, Michael woke up feeling a little lighter. He had survived day one. He had spoken slowly. He had spoken clearly. And people actually noticed, but today was different. Today was Tip#2. He opened the notebook again. ***. Tip number 2, make eye contact. Eye contact shows confidence, connection, and leadership. ***. Michael closed the notebook and sighed. Eye contact, the hardest one. All his life, he avoided it. Not because he didn't care, but because it made him feel exposed, like people could see everything he was afraid of. But if he wanted to grow, he had to face this. The first attempt, the elevator test. When he arrived at work, he stepped into the elevator with 2 co-workers. Usually, he looked at the floor or at his phone until the ride was over. Not today. He forced himself to lift his eyes. He looked at the woman standing next to him. Just for a second she noticed. "Morning, Michael," she said warmly, and Michael smiled back. "Good morning," he replied, slow, clear, and steady. The elevator doors opened, and she walked out smiling. He whispered to himself, "Okay, that wasn't so bad." The lunchroom challenge. At noon, Michael joined 2 co-workers in the lunchroom. They were talking about an upcoming company event. Normally, he would eat quietly and avoid looking at anyone, but he remembered the notebook when one co-worker, Daniel, asked, "Hey, Michael, you coming to the event on Friday?" Michael lifted his eyes for a moment. Daniel looked surprised. Eye contact changed everything, even small conversations. "Yeah," Michael said, meeting Daniel's eyes for 2 full seconds before looking away naturally. "I think I'll be there." Daniel nodded approvingly. "Cool, man. It'll be fun." Michael felt his heartbeat slow. "I did it." Real eye contact. The unexpected test. Meeting with Sarah later that afternoon, Sarah, his manager, called him into her office. Michael instantly felt nervous. "Come in, Michael." He sat down in front of her desk. Now came the real test. Sarah started discussing the upcoming client presentation. "I want to make sure you feel ready. How's your preparation going so far?" Michael's eyes tried to escape, to the window, the floor, the folder on her desk, but no. He forced himself to meet her gaze. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, just the right amount. "It's going well," he said calmly. "I'm practicing every day." Sarah looked impressed. "You seem more confident this week." "I'm proud of the progress you're making." Michael felt his throat tighten, not with fear this time, but with gratitude. "Thank you," he said softly, holding eye contact for another moment. The bookstore return. After work, Michael went back to the little bookstore. He wasn't sure why. Maybe he wanted to thank the old man, or maybe he needed more guidance. The same silver-haired man was there, arranging books. "Ah," he said with a smile. "The young man who wants to speak like a leader." Michael met his eyes this time. He didn't look away. "I practiced your tips," Michael said. And they're helping. The man nodded proudly. Good. Eye contact is the window to confidence. Use it wisely. Michael smiled. I'm ready for the next step, he said. The man pointed to the notebook. It's already waiting for you. A growing flame. As Michael walked home, the streets of New York seemed brighter. Every small victory added fuel to a fire he had forgotten existed, the belief that he could change his life. He opened the notebook again as he walked. Tip number 3, listen more than you speak. Tomorrow would bring another challenge, another chance to grow. The next day began with a soft rain tapping against Michael's window. He sat on the edge of his bed, flipping to the next page of the notebook. Tip number 3, listen more than you speak. Real leaders listen to understand, not to reply. Michael read the line twice. Listening sounded easy, but he knew it wasn't. Most of the time, he was too caught up in his own nerves to truly hear what others were saying. His mind always raced. What should I say next? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I sound stupid? Today, he promised himself, I will listen, really listen. Morning meeting, a lesson in patience. Michael sat in the conference room with his notebook in his lap. The team was discussing the upcoming client presentation. Normally, he would jump into the conversation too quickly or stay completely silent, but today, he tried something new. He leaned back. He breathed. He listened. Daniel was explaining a problem with the project timeline. Michael wanted to offer a solution immediately, his mouth even opened slightly, but he stopped himself. Listen fully first. Sarah added her thoughts next. Then Rachel shared a detail Michael never knew about. By listening, he understood the whole situation clearly for the first time. Finally, Sarah asked, Michael, what do you think? He paused. He made eye contact and he spoke slowly and clearly. I think Daniel is right about the timeline. And Rachel's point shows why we need to adjust it. Maybe we can combine both ideas. The room fell quiet. Daniel nodded. That actually makes sense. Rachel smiled. Yeah, that could work. Sarah looked proud. Excellent observation, Michael. Inside, Michael felt something warm and powerful rising, confidence created by listening. The hallway surprise. As the meeting ended, Rachel caught up with him in the hallway. Hey, she said, smiling. I liked what you said in there. You really connected everyone's ideas. Michael blinked. I just tried to listen more today. Well, it worked, she said. It made the conversation smoother. Michael felt his face heating up. Compliments were still new to him, but he remembered his tips, slow voice, eye contact. Thanks, Rachel. I appreciate that. She nodded and walked away. Michael realized something big. The listening made people want to talk to him. The customer call that changed everything. That afternoon, Michael answered a customer service call. A frustrated customer named Mr. Howard began complaining about a billing issue. Before, Michael would have rushed to solve the problem quickly. Today, he listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't hurry. He let Mr. Howard talk until he sighed and said, Sorry, I just had a long day. Michael replied calmly, I understand. Thank you for explaining everything. Let's fix this together. For the first time ever, a customer thanked him at the end of a complaint call. You're very patient, son. Companies need more people like you. Michael leaned back in his chair, amazed. Listening didn't just change conversations, it changed how people saw him. Evening lessons. Later that night, Michael sat once again in the small bookstore. The old man looked up from his counter. Today you learned the hardest skill. Michael smiled. Listening. Yes, the man said. Speaking is easy. Listening is leadership. Michael thought about the meeting, Rachel's compliment, the grateful customer. You're right, he said softly. The man tapped the notebook. And tomorrow comes a new challenge. Michael opened to the next tip. Tip number 4, use simple, strong words. He closed the notebook, ready for a new day. Friday morning arrived with a clear sky and a crisp breeze drifting through Michael's window. The city outside was loud and alive, but inside his room, everything felt calm. He opened the notebook again. Tip number 4, use simple, strong words. Great communicators don't complicate. They clarify. Michael traced the words with his finger. He knew he had a habit of using long sentences when he got nervous. Sometimes he tried to sound smart by choosing big words. But deep down, he knew that simple language was clearer, kinder, and more powerful. Today, he was going to prove it. A morning practice, the 3-word rule. While brushing his teeth, Michael practiced a new exercise he created for himself. Describe anything using 3 simple words. The mirror, clear, square glass. His shirt, blue work shirt. The weather, cold but sunny. It felt silly at first, but he could already sense his brain shifting. He was learning to be direct, to get to the point without fear. The real test, project discussion. At 10 a.m., the team gathered again to finalize the structure for Monday's client presentation. There were charts everywhere, sticky notes on the walls, laptops open, everyone talking at once. Michael listened quietly until Sarah said, "We still need a clear summary slide." "Michael, could you outline it for us?" A few months ago, he would have panicked. A few weeks ago, he would have over-explained his ideas, but today, he remembered the tip: simple, strong, clear. He stood up, walked to the whiteboard, and spoke. "Our goal is simple: to explain the problem, show the solution, prove it works." The room went silent. Then Daniel said, "Wow. That's actually perfect." Rachel added, "Yes. Simple but powerful." Even Sarah looked pleasantly surprised. "That's exactly what we need." "Well done, Michael." Michael felt something shift inside him. For the first time in his career, he didn't feel like a quiet background character. He felt like someone who could lead. Lunch break, a small but big moment. During lunch, Michael sat at a table with Daniel and Rachel. They were chatting about the upcoming office event. Rachel turned to him. "So, Michael, how's the presentation prep going?" Before, he might have said something complicated like, "Well, I am currently in the process of outlining detailed sections that will contribute to a comprehensive structure," but today, he kept it simple. "Good. I'm getting better every day." Rachel smiled. "See? That's why you're more confident now." Daniel added, "Yeah, man. Simple language hits harder." Michael nodded gratefully. Simple words build strong connections. Evening phone call, the family test. After work, Michael called his younger sister, Anna, who lived in California. They talked about her classes, her new job, her weekend plans. Then she asked, "How's life in New York going? You sound different lately." Michael paused. A few months ago, he might have rambled on about stress or fear. Tonight, he simply said, "I'm growing. And it feels good." Anna smiled through the phone. "That's amazing. I'm proud of you." Simple words, big meaning. Back to the bookstore. As the sun went down, Michael visited the bookstore again. The old man was sitting in his usual chair, reading a thick novel. "You're back," the old man said without looking up. "Did you speak simply today?" Michael nodded. "Yes. And it worked. People listened." "Good," the man replied. "People follow clarity, not noise." Michael opened the notebook. He was ready for the next challenge. ***. Tip number 5, control your body language. Stand tall. Open up. Your body speaks before your words do. ***. Michael felt a small wave of fear. Body language was something he had always struggled with, but he had made it this far. Tomorrow was another step forward. Saturday morning sunlight streamed through Michael's curtains, gentle and warm. It was his first day off in a while, but he wasn't thinking about rest. He grabbed the notebook immediately. ***. Tip number 5, control your body language. Your body speaks before your words do. Stand tall. Be open. ***. Michael exhaled slowly. This was a tough one. He had spent most of his life trying to look small, shoulders curved in, hands in pockets, avoiding attention. He blended into crowds on purpose, but leaders didn't shrink. Leaders showed up. Today, Michael was going to learn how. A morning practice, the power pose. He stood in front of his mirror and straightened his posture. Shoulders back, chin level, feet firmly planted. At first, it felt awkward, like he was pretending to be someone else, but after a few minutes, something shifted inside him. His chest felt open, his breathing felt deeper. His presence felt bigger. He whispered to himself, "This is who I'm becoming." A walk through the city, testing confidence. Michael decided to take a walk through Manhattan. On weekends, the streets were full of tourists, street vendors, and families exploring the city. Normally, he would walk fast, eyes down, trying not to bump into anyone. Today, he slowed down. He lifted his head and he walked tall. A funny thing happened. People reacted differently. A woman handing out flyers smiled warmly and said, "Good afternoon." A street vendor waved and offered Fresh pretzels, my man. Even strangers made eye contact with him and nodded. Michael felt a spark of confidence growing with each step. Posture changes presence. Presence changes connection. The coffee shop moment he stopped by his usual cafe. Jason, the barista, noticed him walking in with a straighter posture than ever before. Whoa. Michael. Jason laughed. You look taller? Stronger. Michael grinned, just practicing something new. Jason handed him his latte. Well, whatever you're doing, keep it up. You look confident. That single word, confident, hit Michael's heart like sunlight on cold skin. The unexpected challenge, the street performer. On his way back, Michael noticed a small crowd gathered around a street performer. She was telling a story dramatically, using huge gestures, wide stances, expressive movements. Her body language was electric. Michael watched in awe. When she finished, she looked around the crowd and said loudly, "Anyone want to try a quick exercise with me?" Silence. People stepped back. Her eyes landed on Michael. You, she said with a smirk. The tall one. Want to volunteer? Michael froze. His heart hammered. His instinct screamed, say no. Run. Hide. But then he remembered the notebook, remembered his promise, remembered who he wanted to be. He stepped forward. The spotlight. The street performer smiled. Here's your challenge. Stand like a hero. Big. Open. Proud. Show the world you matter. Michael swallowed. His hands trembled slightly, but he straightened his back, rolled his shoulders back, lifted his chin. The crowd watched. You see that? The performer said loudly. When you stand tall, people listen before you even speak. The crowd clapped softly. Michael exhaled slowly. He hadn't spoken a single word, but he felt like he'd just delivered a speech. The old man's wisdom. That evening, Michael returned to the bookstore. The old man looked up, studying Michael's posture. You're standing differently, he said. Your body finally matches your potential. Michael smiled. I practiced all day. Even in front of a crowd. The old man raised his eyebrows. Ah. Good. Growth happens when you dare. Michael opened his notebook. Tip number 6. Pause before you respond. Pausing shows control, confidence, and intelligence. Tomorrow, he would learn the power of silence. A skill that would soon change everything. Sunday morning arrived quietly. The streets outside Michael's apartment were calmer than usual, the city taking its weekly breath. Michael sat at his small kitchen table with a cup of warm coffee and opened the notebook again. Tip number 6. Pause before you respond. Pausing shows confidence, control, and intelligence. Michael read the line slowly. Pausing? That sounded simple, but in real life, it felt impossible. His whole life, he'd rushed to answer questions. He worried silence made him look unprepared or nervous. Today, he would learn the opposite. Silence can be power. Morning training, the 3-second rule. Michael stood in front of the mirror again, practicing imaginary conversations. Michael, what do you think? 1, 2, 3, I think we can improve this idea. Can you handle this task? 1, 2, 3, yes, I can. It felt unnatural at first. 3 seconds suddenly felt like an eternity, but then, he noticed something. When he paused, his body felt steady, his voice came out calmer, his mind became clearer. The pause wasn't empty, it was controlled. A phone call from his mom around noon. Michael's mom called from Wisconsin. How are you, sweetheart? Are you eating well? Are you sleeping? Do you need anything? The usual rapid-fire questions. Before, he would have answered quickly while feeling overwhelmed. Today, he paused. 1, 2, 3, I'm good, Mom. Really? I've been working on myself. She smiled through the phone. You sound different. More grown. Michael laughed softly. Thanks. I'm learning a lot. Even his mom felt the change. Pausing made conversations calmer and deeper. A difficult conversation, the real test. Later that afternoon, Michael received a text from Daniel. Hey, can we talk? I need your opinion on something. They met at a nearby park. Daniel looked worried, pacing slightly. What's wrong? Michael asked. Daniel sighed. I messed up a part of our project report. I forgot to include a few numbers. I'm afraid Sarah will be upset. Michael inhaled deeply. Old Michael would have responded instantly with nervous advice, but new Michael paused. 1, 2, 3, Then he spoke slowly, clearly. Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is fixing it. Let's go over it together. Daniel stopped pacing, his shoulders relaxed. You're calm today, he said. Different. More grounded. Michael smiled. It's something I'm practicing. They sat on a bench and reviewed the report. Because Michael stayed calm, Daniel became calm too. The pause didn't just change Michael. It changed the people around him. The conversation with Rachel on his way home. Michael bumped into Rachel outside the office building. She held a folder and looked stressed. Hey, she said. Do you have a minute? Of course. She hesitated. I'm nervous about the presentation tomorrow. I don't like speaking in front of people. Michael paused. 1, 2, 3, then he spoke softly. I understand. I used to feel the same way. We can practice together if you want. Rachel smiled with relief. Really? That would help so much. Michael nodded confidently. Let's start now. For 15 minutes, they practiced. Each time Rachel hesitated, Michael guided her with patient pauses and encouraging silence. She finally said, You're a really good communicator, Michael. Those words hit him deeply. A few months ago, no one would have said that. Evening at the bookstore, as the sun dipped behind the buildings, Michael returned once more to the bookstore. The old man greeted him with a knowing smile. So, what did you learn today? Michael replied, I learned that silence is not weakness, it's strength. The old man nodded. Good. Leaders speak with intention, not speed. Michael opened his notebook again. The next page revealed ***. Tip number 7. Ask questions. Questions show interest, intelligence, and connection. ***. Michael closed the notebook slowly. Tomorrow, he would learn how simple questions could open doors he never expected. By the time Friday arrived, Alex felt different, more confident, more aware, more in control of his own voice. And he was about to face one of the most important moments yet. His manager, Mr. Thompson, had scheduled a private meeting. It wasn't on the calendar. It wasn't expected, and usually, when a manager calls a meeting like that, it means something big is coming. A nervous beginning. Alex walked into the small office with a careful smile. Good morning, sir. Mr. Thompson looked up with a warm, serious expression. Alex, have a seat. I've been noticing something about you these past few weeks. Alex's heart thumped. Is something wrong? Did I make a mistake? But then the manager leaned forward. You communicate differently now. You speak with clarity. You don't rush. You actually listen. Your emails are stronger, your presentations are clearer, and your team trusts you more. What changed? Alex breathed slowly, just like he had practiced. He didn't panic. He didn't rush. Instead, he used tip number 7, tell your truth with confidence. Well, sir, Alex began with a steady voice, I decided to improve myself. I've been working on my communication, listening better, speaking clearly, staying calm, and trying to understand people before responding. Mr. Thompson nodded, impressed. That explains a lot. Your growth is noticeable. An unexpected opportunity. Then the manager said something Alex didn't see coming. We've been looking for a team leader for a new project. Someone who can guide others, stay calm under pressure, and communicate like a real leader. I think you're ready. Alex froze. A leadership role. He felt excitement. But also fear. What if he wasn't good enough? What if he made mistakes? What if people didn't listen to him? But then he remembered tip number 8, leaders communicate hope, not fear. Alex sat up straighter. I would be honored to take the role, sir, he said. His voice didn't shake this time. A real leadership test. This project means working closely with different departments, Mr. Thompson explained, people from marketing, finance, tech. They all have different communication styles. Alex's mind jumped back to his notes. He knew this challenge wasn't about power, it was about understanding people and making them feel heard. I think I'm ready for that, Alex replied. His manager smiled. I believe you are too. Walking out a different man. Alex walked out of the office with his heart racing, not in fear, but in excitement, pride, and a new sense of responsibility. He called his best friend Emily. You won't believe this, he said. I think my communication skills actually changed my life. She laughed. Told you. When you speak better, the world listens better. Alex looked up at the sky, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. He was becoming the leader he always wanted to be. Alex spent the weekend preparing for his first official team leader meeting. He wasn't preparing charts or spreadsheets. He wasn't memorizing long scripts. He was preparing himself because leadership, he now understood, begins with presence, not PowerPoint. The room was full of personalities. Monday morning, Alex walked into the conference room where his new project team was waiting. He saw Maya, the marketing specialist, creative, fast-talking, energetic; Daniel, the finance analyst, precise, serious, numbers only; Jenny, the tech expert, quiet, observant, introverted; Trevor, the operations guy, direct, confident, sometimes too blunt. It was a mix of loud voices, quiet thoughts, and different communication worlds. The old Alex might have panicked, but not today. He took a deep breath, stood tall, and smiled warmly. "Good morning, everyone," he said slowly and clearly. The room went quiet. Using the skills he worked so hard to build, Alex remembered the last few weeks of growth, the mistakes, the practice, the reflection, and now, he applied multiple tips at once. Speak slowly and with intention. Listen more than you talk. Acknowledge each person's style. Create safety in the room. Communicate purpose, not pressure. I want this project, Alex continued, to be a place where everyone's voice matters. We're all experts in different areas, and the only way we succeed is by combining our strengths. Maya smiled brightly. Jenny relaxed a little. Daniel nodded. Trevor leaned forward with interest. Alex could feel the energy shifting. The first challenge arrives just when things seemed smooth. Daniel raised a hand. "We should start with the financial structure," he said. "If the numbers don't work, nothing else does." Maya quickly interrupted. "That's too early. We need creative direction first, or the numbers won't make sense." Daniel rolled his eyes. Maya crossed her arms. The tension sparked instantly. Old Alex might have frozen, mumbled, or rushed to end the conflict, but Alex used tip number 9, turn conflict into collaboration. He raised a calm hand. "I hear both of you," he said. "Daniel, you're right, numbers matter. Maya, you're right too, we need a clear vision. So how about this, we spend the next 15 minutes outlining the creative direction, and then Daniel can map out the financial framework around it." Both nodded slowly. The fight dissolved, peace returned to the table. The meeting ends with respect. By the end of the hour, something amazing happened. People who had barely looked at each other before were now talking, exchanging ideas, and even laughing. As everyone left the room, Jenny, who almost never spoke, walked up to Alex and said quietly, "You're really good at this. It feels safe to speak when you're leading." Alex felt a warm wave of pride, not because he was perfect, but because he was becoming the communicator he always wanted to be. A new belief blossoms. On his way back to his desk, Alex whispered to himself, "I can do this. I really can." His communication wasn't just better, it was opening doors, building trust, and shaping his future. And tomorrow, he would face the next big moment. 2 weeks later, Alex stood in a large meeting room with glass walls, bright lights, and a long conference table. Today was the big one, the final presentation of their new project idea to the senior directors. He had worked hard, his team had worked even harder. But now everything depended on how well Alex communicated. He took a deep breath and reminded himself, leaders don't just speak, they inspire. A nervous start, but a strong comeback. As everyone settled in, Alex felt the familiar wave of nerves rising, the quick heartbeat, the dry throat, the tight chest, but instead of panicking like he would in the past, he used what he had learned: slow breathing, calm posture, a steady voice, a clear mind. He looked at the directors and said, "Good morning. Thank you for being here. My team and I are excited to share something we believe can transform how we operate." The room grew silent. They were listening. The presentation that surprised everyone. Alex didn't overload slides with text. He didn't rush through ideas. He didn't hide behind complicated words. He communicated like a leader, clear, confident, simple, human. He explained the problem, then the solution, and then how each department played a crucial role. And the best part, he didn't take all the credit. Maya helped build the creative vision, he said. Daniel structured the financial plan. Jenny built the technical blueprint. Trevor coordinated the operational roadmap. I'm proud to lead such a strong team. The directors exchanged impressed looks. A powerful ending at the end of the presentation. Alex didn't just stop talking. He paused. He stood tall. He let the silence add weight to his final message. "We believe this project will bring real value, not because of one person, but because of the communication that built it." When he finished, the room was quiet for half a second, then the directors burst into applause. Mr. Thompson gave him a proud nod. "You've become someone people want to follow," he said quietly. The announcement an hour later, Alex and his team were called back into the room. The director of operations stood up. "Congratulations," she said. "We're approving the project, and Alex, you're officially being promoted to project communications lead." Alex's heart soared. He had worked for years, failed, struggled, practiced, grew, and finally, he succeeded. A new identity. That evening, Alex walked home through the cool US night, city lights glowing around him. He felt taller somehow, lighter, stronger. He realized something important. Communication wasn't just a skill. It was a power. A power to connect. To inspire. To build trust. To open doors. To change lives, including his own. He whispered to himself, "I didn't just learn to speak better. I became better."